to Rob Basso and Richard Benjamin on if that's the danger in reacting to media before you hear it from the voice of your customers. Guys, and I'll start with you on this, Rob. You got to commend Cracker Barrel for at least saying we made a decision in haste and changing their mind relatively quickly.
I commend them for their actions. Here's the thing, Mr. Robertson, he can say whatever he likes. This is a free country. He's entitled to say that, but he's also entitled to get the ramifications that come along with it. A&E is a for-profit television show, right? They're here to make profit. So the simple matter is that they suspended him, and Cracker Barrel is just listening to its clients. It's that simple. This is about commerce.
Right. So, I mean, but Richard, a lot of people are wondering, where does this line move? Are we getting to the point where anytime someone who with notoriety offends anyone, hurts anyone's feelings, it's down the drain, pull the plug in their career? And, you know, at least Cracker Barrel, who initially went that way with the politically correct answer, pulled back on it and said, you know what, maybe that's not right.
Yeah, I agree with Rob on this point. It is about the bottom line. And to me, the fascinating part about this is a divide between business conservatives and social conservatives. Business conservatives saying, will this hurt the bottom line? Will this hurt shareholder value? Versus their social conservative customer base. And so I would also say it's not about just hurting people's feelings. In the case of Cracker Barrel, the Justice Department found evidence that they'd been discriminating against employees, discriminating against customers.
Where'd that come from?
In 2004. It's true.
Well,
They're very sensitive. They're very sensitive about the past.
Okay. So you're saying that's the backstory. Why Cracker Barrel reacted so quickly?
Sure. It's not any restaurant. We're not the restaurant that was found to have had evidence of discrimination by the Justice Department in 2004.
Well, I think they were just doing what was prudent under the circumstances. It was a big to-do. I mean, I don't personally watch that show, but millions of Americans watch that show, and they decided because of the popularity of that show that they were going to remove their items. It was a knee-jerk reaction, and then they had time to consciously think about it. How is this going to affect our business? And then they made the decision.
Yeah, but we saw something similar with Chick-fil-A, right?
Well, that's different, though. The Chick-fil-A situation was different.
How is it different?
Well, I think because the people at Chick-fil-A, you know, flat out made really just these ridiculous remarks, and they made it their political stance. They made it their corporate political stance. I don't think
Phil
that's what
Robertson
Cracker Barrel's
hasn't
doing.
backed off from his particular stance.
And nor should he, if that's what he believes. I don't believe it, but if he believes it, why should he back off his stance? He might want to because it's hurting his personal brand.
Richard?
I don't know that it's hurting his personal brand. I think it's helping it.
A lot of people have rallied around him. I mean, the I Stand With Phil hashtag is it came across my Twitter feed a few times.
You speak to your base, you speak to your audience. I'm not sure it hurts his personal brand, but Cracker Barrel has to look out for its personal brand, and I think it's a harm in the long term, given how the South is changing its demographics. I don't think it's in Cracker Barrel's interest to be associated with those comments.
Yet, nevertheless, it only took them a few hours to say, you know what, or have this sort of epiphany that we made a mistake, and we're going to go back to our relationship with Duck Dynasty.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they did that. Which is interesting because, I mean, they've made that choice that they say this is where our bread is buttered, so to speak, and they've probably crunched some numbers, and that's the decision that they've arrived at. But moving forward, as the South becomes more diverse, as the Midwest becomes more diverse, we'll see whether that's a wise decision.
Cracker Barrel, by the way, is in 42 states, so, you know, it's not just a Southern restaurant anymore.
It's also, let's not forget A&E, though. Let's go back a second. A&E, I will be very shocked if they don't allow him back on the show. They're going to put the commerce before the politics, and they're going to have that man back because it's a ratings boon for them.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's the #1 show on cable. It's only going to become even more. I mean, a lot of people are going to be curious.
This is the Miley Cyrus effect.
This was the kind of advertising you couldn't buy with $1 billion, I don't think. But longer term, do you think someone at A&E right now saying, guys, we probably, if we weathered the storm, it would hurt us, you know, near term, but longer term, it might help, sort of to Richard's point. Do you think anyone is in the boardroom saying that?
I think they're going to ask him to tone it down, and I think if the guy's going to stick to his roots and his personal beliefs, he's going to tell him to go fly. Yeah. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. He's a particular individual. I've only seen clips of that show. I have not actually sat and watched an entire episode of that show because I couldn't stomach it. But the truth of the matter is, he has his opinion. He has the right to give it, and there's nothing wrong.
Well, I got to tell you something. It does seem disingenuous on A&E's part to say, wow, we didn't know the guy felt that way.
See, that's the thing, though. It's one thing to say you didn't know how Phil Robertson felt, but you do know Cracker Barrel's history. It's well documented, and so that's what boggles my mind.
A&E knew exactly how this family feels. I believe that they did.
All right, guys, fantastic stuff. Really appreciate it. Talk to you again soon. Hey, listen.